Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Judit Chrenoczy-Nagy, and it is a great honor for me to speak to you today on the EMCC China 100 webinar on coaching ethics. I work as a business and executive coach for more than 14 years, and I have a solid business experience. I spent 18 years in the field of marketing management and 15 years in compliance in a multinational environment. I also led courses on business ethics at Corvinus University of Budapest. Today, I will talk about ethical decision-making in professional coaching. I will present you an easy-to-use model that supports you to detect the ethical layer of a coaching case and helps you to find your best answer to this specific situation. In my experience, ethics is all around us, and our awareness of the ethical perspective of a situation is an essential part of our professionalism and effective coaching. So, let's start. After this brief introduction, I will tell you some words about the importance of ethics, and then I will present my model through a specific case. During the last part of the webinar, we will have time for a discussion. The presented model was developed by me, and you can use it. However, if you would like to use it in your training or in any kind of educational program, please make sure that it is properly cited. Thank you so much for this. We all know that it is a pre-recorded session, and due to this, our scope of interactivity is limited. But let me invite you to a reflective practice and encourage you to either take notes to yourself or use the chat box and share your thoughts, reflections there. I believe it will greatly support your learning process and create a higher level of engagement and awareness. At the end of the presentation, I am here and we can have a discussion about the topic and your reflections. So, as a start, let me ask you, how would you finish the sentence? The ethical coach is, please use the chat box and write your answers there. The most common words that come up here are professional, aware, open, trustable, honest, fair, responsible, me, unbiased, self-aware, competent, etc. All these descriptions can be easily connected to the key coach competencies, and we coaches work continuously on developing them. And now let's continue with another question. How often do you reflect on your work as a professional coach? Almost after each session, in most cases, sometimes, hardly ever, never. Please take a moment for your reflection and write your answer in the chat box. Based on previous feedbacks, most of us uses reflection in his/her everyday professional practice. And my last question is, how often do you detect an ethical dilemma as a professional coach in your practice? Please write your answer in the chat box. I detect ethical dilemma pretty often. In most cases, I can detect ethical dilemma. Sometimes, hardly ever, never. Based on previous answers, it seems that when we get in the field of ethics, we can recall only few and very explicit cases. And the question comes very naturally. What can be the reason for this? If ethics is so fundamental in our life, why is it so difficult to detect it? The answer comes from the nature of the ethical dilemma. It is sometimes hidden. It might appear as a professional question, and it is linked to competencies. It might appear as an emotional dilemma. It might be interpersonal, a debate between two or more parties. And it might be intrapersonal, a debate in myself, a conflicting values in me. Therefore, it is important to increase awareness and sensitivity regarding ethical layers of our coaching practice. Thinking about ethics and thinking about the guideline, what we use as a reference in ethical questions, we can define two main sources. External factors like social norms, laws, any professional code of conduct such as ICF Code of Ethics or Global Code of Ethics guides us about the expectations of our professional environment. Parallel to this, all of us have our internal norms and values. The ethical dilemma typically arises when we feel that there is no definite right or wrong decision, or we realize that our values, or values in general, are in conflict, or when there is no explicit breach of any guidelines, but we have a strange, peculiar feeling that it might be wrong. This is the so-called gray zone, where our compass does not give us a direct guidance. Professional ethics has several layers. First, it is based on social norms that governs the society. For example, honesty, fairness, equity are those universal values that governs our behavior in general. The social norms are complemented by the professional norms, the specific rules of the specific profession. In case of coaching, there are certain requirements how we behave with the client. For example, keeping the boundaries, proper contracting, confidentiality, and transparency belong here. As a professional coach, we are also responsible for our community, how we behave with other professionals. It touches the area of collaboration, the respect and protection of intellectual property, etc. The highest layer of professional ethics is the drive for higher good. This expression refers to the mindset when we move away from the concept of slowly searching and focusing on avoiding or not causing any harm to the mindset doing something for a greater good. Greater good means that our action or decision somehow contributes to a higher good. It considers the interests and benefit of more than only more people and more individual, more community than only the client and the coach. And therefore, it will bring a better solution for the whole system and not only for the individuals. And we can ask, if our awareness is not that high about the ethical layers, how we can increase our sensitivity about this? I believe there are several ways to work on this. One option might be to find a structured model that guides us through a dilemma. I think the presented model will help you to focus on and searching for and cover all the layers of the professional ethics. And now let me tell you some words about my model. This model is the result of my teaching experience and my coaching practice and experience. It is a handy tool that can help you to identify and manage the ethical dilemmas and support your internal process to find your best solution for a specific case. Either you work as a coach, mentor, supervisor, or maybe as a manager. This model is useful when you find yourself in the gray zone, when there is no explicit answer about right or wrong, and several options are available. The model can help you to widen your perspective, find your best answer, and mitigate the potentially negative impact of your decision. However, the model does not take you to one definite answer. The result of the analysis might be different in case of other individuals. Your process will take you to your solution in that specific context. And the final goal of the model is to widen the perspectives and increase the potential to find a solution that contributes to a higher good. Let's go through on the steps. Step 1 is to identify and detect that the actual question or debate is an ethical dilemma, or at least it has an ethical layer. I will show you a simple tool how you can easily identify what can be considered as an ethical question. Step 2 is to determine what is your desired outcome. What would you consider as the best outcome of your decision? Step 3, it is the analysis part. It covers several sub-steps. The first is to conduct a stakeholder analysis. Identify who are the individuals, groups that might be impacted by your decision, and you consider them as your significant partners. The next point is to explore what options you think is available. This is a creative phase, a kind of brainstorming section when you can collect all your options. Then you can investigate what are the positive and negative impacts of each option. Last part of the analysis is exploring whether or if there is any way to mitigate the negative impacts. If yes, how? In other words, this part of the analysis is a tool for calculating the net value. Step 4 is about decision-making and action. However, the process does not end here. Step 5 is to review and reflect on the decision of the action and concluding the learnings and key takeaways. The whole process is supported by an intensive self-reflection and/or external supervision process if needed. It is a brief summary, and now let's see and experience how this model works in practice. I will present you a situation that might raise some ethical consideration, and we will use the model to evaluate what can be the good solution. You work as a certified business coach and got an ongoing, long-term and well-paid assignment from one of your major clients. Currently, you are coaching some employees from this company. During the session, you notice that one of your clients is going through an extremely difficult situation in her personal life. You start to worry about her. You have built up a good relationship with her, and you observe that she is getting into a negative emotional state, and it is getting worse week by week. During the next session, you bring up your concern. You tell her that you think therapy would better support her in the current situation. She listens to you and seems to understand you, but then she tells you that she cannot go to therapy now. She cannot afford to pay privately for it. She trusts you and feels that working with you is extremely beneficial and more beneficial for her than starting with a therapist she does not know yet. She truly believes that you are the one who can help her now. You are or you are not a licensed therapist. You have the feeling that this process cannot be kept within the frame of business coaching. It will slide into the area of life coaching at minimum. So the question is, what would you do? So what do you think? How shall we approach this case? Please Take some seconds to think about how would you approach the case and make some notes for yourself, or write your thoughts in the chat box. The questions that typically arose are: what is the best interest of my client? What is my competence level? What is our agreement? What will be the impact of my decision on others? How can I expand my perspective to evaluate the situation? So, let's see now the first step, how we can identify the ethical perspective of this situation. Please, spend some seconds to think about it. What is your dilemma here? How would you phrase it? Please make your notes in a paper or in the chat box. Sometimes it is difficult to detect what is the ethical layer of a question. Based on Crane and Matham, the authors of a business ethics textbook, we can say that any question should be treated as an ethical question if the answer to the next three questions is yes. Does my decision, action have an impact on others? The second question, do I have a choice? And the third question, does anybody else consider this action ethically relevant? I completed this definition with one more element, namely, if the actual question is in any way can be connected to any point of the professional code of conduct or code of ethics, it should be treated as an ethical question. In this case, your ethical concern might have several aspects. For example, it can be around keeping the boundaries between coaching and therapy, or maintaining your assignment, or recommending someone else, or just to think about how you can maintain trust with your business partner and with your client or with anybody else. Or your debate might be around confidentiality. Should I talk about this situation with anyone? Or it is not appropriate. Shall I focus only on a good enough, acceptable reaction? Or shall I search for more, which is not only avoid harm, but doing good? These concerns might be exclusive or combination of several. But all layers can be summarized around the question, how to manage the process? Whether you can continue the coaching, or should you stop coaching, or the best would be continue the coaching with some changes with different conditions. The next step of the process is to determine what would be the desired outcome. It seems a simple question, but the answer can be a game changer and would guide you to different actions. Please write your answers in the chat box. Let's look at some potential answers. We might see similar comments in the chat box than I have collected. The desired outcome would be, what is the best interest of my client? How can I strengthen the relationship with my client and or with my business partner in the company? How can I be loyal to my client or to my business partner? How can I be transparent? What is the appropriate level of transparency in this situation? How can I maintain confidentiality? How can I preserve the trusted partner position in that relationship? Or How can I show my competencies at the highest level? When we determine for ourselves the desired outcome, we can move to step 3, which is the analysis. The first part of the analysis is to define who are the relevant stakeholders in this situation. Stakeholders are those individuals and groups that can be impacted by your decision. Please take some seconds and think about whom would you consider an important stakeholder here. The relevant stakeholders can be the client, my business partner, me, the significant others of my clients, my client's colleagues, etc. The stake in this situation can be the well-being of the client, my professional trustfulness, my reliability, the relationship with the client and or the business partner, my professional reputation, etc. And now that we have identified the stakeholders and their stakes, let's move on the next step. A very important part of the analysis is to explore the available options. Based on the desired outcome and evaluating the different stakes of the different stakeholders, what options are available for you? In this phase, you can collect all the options. 3 main directions seem feasible in this case. We can use the so-called Mercedes model here. Principally, we can immediately stop coaching, or we can decide to continue the coaching without any changes, or we can commit to continue the coaching with some changes. So it means that we modify something in the agreement. After we have collected the different scenarios, the next step is to explore what are the positive and negative impact of each scenarios to the main stakeholders, namely to the client, to the business partner, to myself, the coach, and to other significant stakeholders. Please take some moments and think about the potential positive and negative impacts of continuing the coaching. Some potential answers can be here. If you continue the process, the coaching process, it will be beneficial for your client because your client can ventilate freely. She can feel that she is taken care of. She has a trust in you. It can be beneficial for you because you can stay in a trusted relationship. You can ensure your ongoing income. So it's financially rewarding for you. And it can be beneficial for your business partner because she can feel, your business partner can feel that there is no complication. They can feel that things are on track, and they can see you as a trusted partner. And the potential negative impacts can be, for example, that if you continue the coaching process, you might not give the best, most appropriate support to your client. It can be a waste of her time. You might be challenged from ethical perspective because of crossing the boundaries. And now, please spend some moments and think about the positive and negative impacts of your decision if you decide to stop coaching. The positive impacts of your decision, stop coaching, might be that you can ensure that your client gets a better hand and a better help. So you might be perceived as a responsible professional. You might increase your credibility through the transparent, honest communication regarding your competencies. Or just the opposite. You might be perceived as a non-competent professional who cannot manage a bit more complex situation. You might lose a good amount of income, so it would lead you to a personal financial loss. And you might be perceived that so far it was a waste of time. After collecting the impacts of a certain action, it is important to think about how we can mitigate the negative consequences, impacts. Please spend some seconds and think about how you can mitigate the negative impacts of your decision if you decide to continue the coaching. And now, please think about some mitigation action if you decide that you will stop coaching. When we are in the field of mitigation, some helpful questions here can be: how can the negative impacts be minimized? What additional considerations can I take into account, or should I take into account? What additional steps are required from me? If you decide to continue the coaching, one mitigation step can be to recontract and reconfirm your competency level, the scope what you can cover during coaching, and agree that you speak up whenever you feel that you have reached the boundaries of either your competencies or that of coaching. In case you decide to stop coaching, an additional mitigation step might be to provide assistance to manage this situation in a gentle, smooth manner. You might redirect the client to another professional. This approach will enable you to base your final decision on a more holistic, thorough analysis and incorporate the potential for shooting for a higher good. The last step of the analysis is the decision and action. Based on the evaluation, what would you do? Please take some moments and think about what would you do in this specific case. And if you would like, please share your decision and action in the chat box. When you have made your decision, the last checkup might contain the following steps or the following questions. In this phase, you can conduct the so-called reality check. This reality check includes the following questions. Is my decision aligned with the professional code of conduct? Is it aligned with my internal compass? Do I feel comfortable with this action? And if your answers are yes to it, the next question here, how can I or how shall I communicate my decision? How shall I ensure the right balance between confidentiality and transparency? How I can manage the situation to keep supporting my client and preserve the good relationship between me, my client, and my business partner. Step 5 takes place after the decision and the action, and it is the self-reflection and supervision. The last step is about reflection on the actual action. What happened? How it happened? What was the impact? Did I achieve the desired outcome? What went well? Is there anything I can do differently? And another very important question here, what did I learn about myself? What additional steps can I do? This step can be an individual self-reflection exercise. However, if you have the feeling that something unexpected happened, it is worthwhile to take the situation in supervision in order to get an external perspective. Both options are open throughout the whole process. We can reflect and/or ask any external supervision at any point of time of the process and in managing the dilemma. So, to summarize the model again, the intention of the model is to support you as a coach, mentor, supervisor, or leader, manager, to find your best answer in a challenging, difficult situation. The main elements of the process are: step 1 is to identify that the situation has an ethical perspective, an ethical layer. Step 2, to determine your desired outcome. What would you like to achieve? Which outcome would be in line with your internal values? Step 3 is to conduct a thorough analysis, including proper stakeholder analysis, evaluating available options, the pros and the cons, the positive and negative consequences of each option, and thinking about the potential mitigation steps. Step 4 is about decision making and acting, and step 5 is reflection and supervision. This model can be helpful in a more complex situation when a decision or action is not obviously right or wrong. So, not the what is the main question here, rather than the how. Taking into consideration the specific situation, knowing your competencies, how you can manage the situation in a way which is in line with the professional standards, aligned with your internal compass, and is the best for your client or to any other significant stakeholders. With this, we have reached the end of my presentation, and I would like to take a moment and thank you very much for your attention. And I hope you found this topic and this model useful and interesting for your professional practice. Now I'm very excited to start a discussion about this model and about ethics in the questions and answers section. In this slide, you find my contact info. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to contact me. And now, let's go live and start discussion about ethics or about the model. Thank you so much again for your attention.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you for your wonderful first presentation, and thank you for your profound the insights into ethical decision making and introducing us your unique decision making model. Thank you very much. It's very interesting, inspiring, and very thought provoking. Thank you. And just now, also we have collected several questions from the audience, and most of them are in Chinese, and my colleague has had to translate them into English, and I'll put them in the chat. But before that, actually, I myself actually has a question. Oh, okay. Sorry, I need to translate. 非常感谢我们 Judit 女士刚才精彩的分享。现在我们进入问答环节。那大家如果有问题的话，可以把问题打在聊天框里。那我们的 Judit 女士也会在线实时，然后回答大家的问题。Okay, actually, I have a question about the case you shared. Have you ever encountered such as yourself?
Wow, it's a good question. I think my case study was a theoretical, but I can tell you that I faced with the dilemma of what is the border between coaching and therapy when I felt the need that maybe my client needs more and how to proceed. I faced with the dilemma of confidentiality and transparency, that what's happening or what happened in the coaching space what are the level of information which I need to maybe share with someone else, or what are the limitations, what is the scope of that. I think it's these are very, very sensitive areas. And of course, I faced with the dilemma also that if something which, if I learn some information about from my client about the company or his or her plan regarding the company, how can I keep and maintain my loyalty towards her or him, and toward the company, my business partner? What is my role here? And of course, there are some theoretical guidelines, but I think it's more than just a theoretical and a rational question. It might have some very serious emotional elements as well.
Thank you. Actually, I am very curious. Curious is in real case, the coach can make what kind of decision he or she will make. Yeah, thank you. I'll translate the question to the audience. 那第一个问题是我们是 Judy 女士刚才在演讲中，她分享了一个案例，就是我们比如说导师教练在面对客户的时候，他可能会遇到一个就是职业边界方面的一个问题，就是你是教练，但是你的客户他可能需要的是心理咨询，但是你作为教练的话又非常明确，你教练的角色跟心理咨询这两个角色的不同。那就是这个呢，其实今天分享的呢，其实也是一个理论方面的指导，就是大家在实践过程当中可以把这些当成一个指导进行参考。那在实际情况当中呢，就要根据自己的情况具体分析。Judit 女士她在自己做教练的过程当中，她还遇到过其他的，比如像面对客户的时候，我们可能对于一些比较隐私的一些隐私方面，我们可能要注意一个就是保密度跟一个透明度之间的平衡，或者是我们在面对客户的时候，我们同时对我们的客户，对我们的就是比如说相关的我们的合作伙伴，我们的就是这些公司对客户对他的一个忠诚度，这些都是可能会面临的一个问题。那我们就是在面临这些问题的时候呢，我们都需要就是这些我们需要一定的这些道德这些指南，然后去指引我们。就像我们刚刚在分享的当中也有很多，比如说我们肯定有社会方面的就是规则，也有一些职业方面的一些道德规范，那也有可能说在比如说教练行业、导师行业，我们也有比如说像 EMCC、ICF 都有一定的职业道德规范，然后帮大家做一个参考。Thank you, and let's see the questions from the audience, and also I think this question may be relevant to.
And I see. May I add one thing regarding this question of confidentiality? That based on the ICF Code of Ethics, we are responsible in some cases to report some things what we learned in coaching. So I think it's not just a kind of ethical responsibility, but a kind of professional, might be legal responsibility as well. But still, it's a very sensitive area. Sorry for
Thank you. 那刚才的问题，我们再补充一点，比如说，特别是关于在客户保密性方面的问题，特别是可能 ICF 它道德指南里也有一个，就是我们可能需要，就是比如说教练将自己在这个可能在工作过程当中，可能就是学到的东西，可能会就一定程度的，就是要就是报告出来。那这里呢，可能就是对一些隐私的信息，不只是涉及到一个可能是那个职业方面的问题，可能更触及到法律层面了。所以这里的就是一定要有一个一定程度的敏感度。Okay, thank you. Let's see the question. Okay, I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, what are the ethical dilemmas? The second question is, what are the ethical dilemmas of using AI?
Wow, yeah, this is a very, very interesting, and I think it's a very upcoming question, because I think I'm not an expert of AI ethics. So just let me put it first let me put it first this way. But what I think when we talk about and think about the role of AI, it's one is the use of technology. So one is using the digital platform when using the system and using the know-how of the digital life, and the other is when we are talking about the AI as a kind of an artificial intelligence who does the same job what we do in coaching, when using AI for doing the coaching as a job. And I think it's there are what I know, but it's not my area of specialism. But what I know that there are a lot of ongoing debates around it. That how they can be compared, the effectiveness, how the human factor can be replaced by AI, what are the responsibility of any kind of intervention which is created by the AI, or the answer or the feedback what is given by an AI and not by a human. What are the responsibilities there? Who is responsible for any kind of interaction which is coming from the AI, and a lot more. I think we can spend days of exploring and discussing about it. And I think we are still not fully aware of the full scope, what kind and what type of ethical dilemmas will bring up through using more and more AI.
Thank you. I think this is a good question. Maybe I think this is a topic worth research. It can be used, actually it can be used incorporated in your survey. Yes, because AI, exactly. it is
I very much agree.
Today.
Yeah. Because what for me, but maybe if you were asked someone else, any other professional or scientist, they would focus on different areas. But for me, I would focus on the ethical challenges between humans and robots or artificial intelligence, the question of responsibility, the scope of interventions, and I think this would be the most interesting for me.
Yes, thank you. 那我们第二个问题呢是关于这个道德困境。那第二个问题是就是在用 AI 的时候，可能在导师教练过程当中，如果用 AI 可能涉及到什么样的这个道德困境，这个道德难题。那这里呢就是我们就是 Judit 他目前呢，因为他这方面触及相对少一点，但是他也知道就是当前大家就是很多人大家都在用 AI 讨论 AI， 就包括我们的这个教练行业，大家也越来越多的将这个 AI 用作一个教练的工具。就像我们现在有很多的这个就是数字平台，然后提供为教练就是也是提供了这样的一个平台。那现在就是当前在这个行业里面，针对这个 AI 方面的讨论，可能更多的去在比如说这个用 AI 它做教练工具的话，它的一个有效性，以及比如说在里面可能有哪些一些人为方面的一些可能我们人就是之前就是人教练他可能哪些做的事情他可能会被 AI 能取代。那 AI 如果在这里面的参与的话，那有多少部分是 AI 它是需要就是负这个责任的，它哪些是它需要负责的，那哪些方面又需要我们人去人为干预的。那 AI 它比如说在各个方面，比如说就在反馈方面做的又怎么样的，那这个领域呢其实是有很多就是比较有趣的，是值得我们去研究的。Thank you. Let's see the next question. Okay, it's about the how do you handle conflicts between your values and those of client?
This is the $1 million question, I think. Because I think there is no unique way. I think, and this is what in my models I refer to, and it will be my personal reflection to it. That when we have a conflicting values between ourselves or between ourselves and the clients. I think it's two different things. Yeah, let me step back. That if there is an ethical dilemma or a conflict of values inside me as the professional coach, I think the resolution will take place based on our priorities. Because I'm sure, and when I teach in the university, I did this exercise with my students who came across the globe. So they had a very diverse community. They were very diverse. And when we started to think about the core values, more or less, we collected exactly the same, very similar values, like honesty, integrity, blah, blah. I don't want to go into that details. But when we somehow, I asked them to prioritize that which comes first, the order was different. The interpretation of each values were different. And this is a game changer. Because if you have a different understanding, a different priority among the values, I think it can take you a very, very different track of thinking. So this is the internal part. And regarding when you have the conflicts between you and the clients, and I think there is no universal golden rule for that. For me, and this will be again very personal, I think transparency is extremely important here. On one hand, I think it's important to if it really limits the space of our collaboration, if it limits the free communication between me and the client, I think we should talk about this explicitly in that space. If it is something which in me, and I can separate my conflicting values, and this conflict is, I consider, not that significantly different, not a game changer difference, just something different. Of course, we are all different, so it's very natural that we might have different values, and it is okay. So as long as, if I'm a coach, I can live with that difference, I think it's manageable. Because if I have a conflict, I will take it to supervision and I work. Why does it bother me so much? If it is, if I feel that it limits the efficiency of our coaching work, or it decreases the trust, I think this should be addressed in a way. And I believe that transparency is also important. And of course, if we are transparent about that we have different values, I think we should do this in a very respectful way. Because I think on one hand, it's important to share who we are, because we bring ourselves into the coaching process with our whole self as a professional. But also, I think it's important to maintain the respect, that it's okay. The whole ethics, I think it's about, the whole gray zone is about that there are much more options available, and much more good solutions are available, or acceptable solutions available, than what we think, or which is the closest to us. And yeah, but these are, I love these questions, because they are really on that gray zone, and our ethical maturity, I think. And this is why it's so important to talk about these things, because the more we talk about, the more we reflect. So the gut feel can become a kind of cognitive process, and via this cognitive process, we can reach that we will have a better understanding about ourselves, about the clients, and about the relationship. Yeah, I could continue, but I think I stop now.
I think it's a great answer. Thank you. 那我们来看第三个问题，第三个问题是，就我们做导师教练在工作过程当中可能会与客户产生价值观上面的冲突，那遇到这种情况我们该怎么办？那这个我们Judit的人士呢回答呢，其实就我们价值呢，它价值观它本来就是多元的，大家是价值观产生差异是很正常的。那这里可能就产生一个就是你对价值观这些一个个就是要素方面，你对它有没有一个就是它的一个优先排序？就是 Judit 他因为也在大学里教课嘛，那而且他的就学生很多是来自就是世界各地的，那这里就是处在一个非常多元的一个文化背景里。那他在对学生的时候呢，他也就是发现，就是跟大家做过一个练习，跟学生做一个练习，然后发现就是大家其实在很多核心价值观上，大家的价值观是很相似的，就是比如说我们要就是诚实、平等、公正，但是当大家对这些就是价值观进行一个排序的时候呢，就觉得重要性排序的时候，每个人的排序又是很不一样的，然后每个人对这个价值观的解读那也是不一样的，那这就是一个非常有趣的现象，因为就是这就是更多的关于我们的一个内在的一个思考，就是大家的内在对这些就是价值观的一个就是认识是有所差别的。那对于如何解决这个价值观方面的冲突，它其实并没有什么黄金法则。那最重要的是觉得在这个过程当中一定要跟客户保持一个透明度，就是你们要一种自由开放的态度去沟通。那首先你作为教练，你也自己也要区分，就是这样的冲突，它是比如说是可以接受的，还是说让你实在是难以接受的。因为当有时候你可能遇到非常就是你觉得困惑难以解决问题的时候呢，你也可以去寻求督导，去帮你去分析这个问题是怎样的。如果说你发现就是你们的价值观对你这个教练的成果其实是有很大影响，甚至影响你们的就是可能之间的一个信任度的话，那你问题呢是一定要及时解决的。那你一定要以一种就透明平解，同时也要一种尊重的态度去跟你的客户去沟通，因为你是在客户面前，你一定是展现出自己最真实的样子的。那么对于客户呢，也是这样的。那你们进行一个坦然的去沟通、去交流。那其实这个话题呢，它触及到就是我们在做导师教练过程当中会讲到一个灰色区域。那这个灰色区域，它也意味着你可以有是很多很多的选择，你有很多很多的解决方案去解决方案。那这个呢，就是对你而言，其实也是一个很是开放的一个是处于一个比较开放的角度，让你去更多的思考。那你也可以有更多的理解，通过这个问题也是，比如说对自己可能有一个更新的理解，然后对客户，然后对你们的之间的关系，你也能有一个全新的认知。那灰色区它会给我们带来很多的困惑，但同时对我们也是一个很好的机遇，让我们去更好的认识自己。Thank you. Oh, I'm making the time actually is very limited. Actually, we have several questions still need to answer, but I think
if you have time, I can answer one or two more. It's up to you. I'm here.
Yeah, maybe I will ask her. Okay, maybe I think I maybe have the final question. This is about team coaching. Yeah. In team coaching, how do you handle ethic conflicts among different team members?
Yeah, again, it's a very, very good question. And I think transparency, what first come to my mind, that I think these ethical conflicts if they are hidden and they appear, I would like to refer back to one of my slides when the nature of ethical dilemma, that it might appear as a kind of professional conflict, that we professionally disagree or emotionally we have a conflict. But I think it's being transparent about it and using curiosity the ethical conflicts, understand all parties, that what are the trigger points. I think this is the way how we can support that process. And also what I think it is important here that we might not resolve the ethical conflicts because maybe they are not resolvable, but I think acceptance to the level which is acceptable and being clear about the scope and the area, that what do we accept and what do we not. I think this is important, and clarity, transparency can increase the trust. I think not agreement is the base of the trust, but the transparency about the differences and the acceptance about the differences. I think it's important, and yeah, I think this is my first gut feel answer to that.
Thank you. 那我们看最后一个问题是关于团队教练的，因为对团队教练就是教练如何去处理就是不同成员之间的这个道德冲突问题。那这个呢，就是首先我们就是前面也讲到了一个问题，就是这个道德它冲突的本质，有的可能是比较就是隐蔽的，可能暂时没有发现的，但是可能是已经比较就是已经有一些苗头了，有的可能就是非常明显的。那这个成为的冲突呢，可能是他们一些职业可能专业问题方面可能就是有一些争执，也可能是他们对在某些东西他们看法就不一样，也可能是就是一些情绪上的冲突可能。那这个呢也是非常基本的，最重要的是还是要保持一个透明的，保持一个在这个环境里要保持一个透明度，就是所有问题呢都能够就是有一个清晰的理解。比如说就是这个冲突你要有一个明确的界限，它是可接受的还是不可接受的，就是基于这一点，然后大家再去就是做进一步的分析，就是说要以一个透明就是好奇的态度，然后让这个成员之间可能坐下来，就是比如说我们来沟通这样一个问题，就是到底是怎样的。那跟前面的一个问题呢是类似的，在这个有基于几个原则，一个是要保持一个透明度，还有个好奇心，还有一个要开放的态度，还有就是要让这个问题的这个界限一定要清晰。Thank you very much. I think that's all for today's Q&A. And thank you again for your wonderful presentation. Yes, especially I like your presentation, especially when you interpreted the model, you used a case, and that will be more specific in people's mind. That how to I can imagine when I encounter this situation, just how will I reflect, how will I handle this. I like the model because it has actually the 5-step model. In each step, the coach or the mentors, the supervisors, leaders, or the managers, they need to reflect about it. There are several questions, and you have put those questions for them to reflect. And I can think that you have made a lot of work before you created this model. I think it's a great work. And
thank you very much.
Yeah, besides the presentation, I think the Q&A part is very important today because it sparks new thoughts and new interests. Yes, I think it's a gap between you and the audience. I think it's very wonderful.
Thank you very much. I see for these nice words, and may I add one more thing about this model? When I was thinking about this, how it really came from practice, and it came from my experience since I work with people that I think. Focusing on our desired outcome, I think this is very important, because I think if we have different goals regarding the end of the process, our actions can be different. This is one very important realization for me, and all of this model was based on the seminar discussions with my students when I brought them some ethical cases and the way how we talked about it and the way of thinking. So it has a kind of pragmatic background, so not scientific, but rather what comes from practice. And it's through thought-provoking questions. And the other, I think, it's what is a critical point here is the stakeholder analysis. When in coaching relation, we tend to focus only to the client and to me. What is the best for the client and how can I keep myself in a safe place? And sometimes we maybe do the minimum, what is for sure not wrong. And this, and expanding the stakeholders, I think it's important because it widens the perspective, and expanding our thinking that not only focusing that make sure that what we do, this is at minimum, we don't do something bad or wrong, but expand that, okay, we don't do something wrong, but how we can do more, because we are very, very resourceful as a human being. And I think it just requires just a little bit more thinking and attention and sensitivity toward it. And we can create a hugely different result, and I think, this is what I would wanted to express through this model. And just one more, the mitigation plan, because I think it's very typical in the analysis part that we do, okay, we collect options in every model, we have it, and the pro-con analysis, very standard, nothing new. But I think, and this was my realization, that when we focus on the negative impact, we acknowledge that, okay, this is the price for the good solution, but I think we stop too early, because if we make an additional thinking that, okay, this is the negative impact, is there anything else which might be just a tiny thing, how to mitigate it, or just decrease the weight of this negative impact? I think it's a tiny additional step. And it is also it can be also a game changer. So I think with these three, if we use this kind of thinking, we can give a better opportunity for ourselves to somehow give back a better to everyone. You see, yeah.
Oh, thank you. I like your compliment because it's very motivational. Thank you. I'll translate. 我们 Judit 女士刚刚也最后就是也对她的总结加了一点分享，就是她今天给我们分享的这个模型，就是道德决策模型呢，它也是基于她自己就是多年的实践经验所得，包括还有自己就是在教练过程当中就是基于他自己的教练经验，同时也是他比如说在教学过程当中就是跟学生可能当做作业，跟学生也是做了一个就是学生的一个练习成果，就他所有的这个模型都是基于他的实践，而非说是简单的一个理论，所以它有就是非常大的这个借鉴价值，这个是非常实用。那比如说我们其中一个讲到的第二个就是你的遇到道德问题的时候，第二个你就预期成果是什么样的？那这个就是我们经常在教练过程当中可能会遇到，你作为客户是你确定一个目标是非常重要的，你的行动计划是怎样的？那比如我们其实在做这个第3步进行那个分析的时候，里面涉及到是相关利益者分析，还有包括这个影响的分析，可能是比如说消极方面的分析，积极方面的分析。那这个就是特别是也是鼓励我们特别在做这个利弊分析的时候，比如说你如果想负面的一些消极影响，比如说你想可能暂时停止做，比如说暂时停止做这个教练。那如果说你只是说就是这样停下来了，但其实是对你而言是 很可惜的是一件事情。那么就是你给自己多一些机会，多一些选择，去想一想，比如说我们再继续，但是同时也跟我们的客户我们去探讨，比如说重新我们修改一下这个协议的内容，我们说再更改一些条件，在这个基础上，我们再可能继续把这个工作做下去。就是这个模型它给了我们一个就是更多的机会去思考，就思考呢不只是哪些是对客户有利的，同时也对我们作为教练导师本身也是非常可能有利的地方。同时就是也是帮助我们就是拓宽我们的眼界，因为很多问题它并不是说非黑即白，它可能有非常非常多的选项，而且最重要的也是就是知道就是我们自己其实就是我们自己最大的资源。好 ，Thank you very much, thank you Judith, and thank you for your support for EMCC China. I think it's really a fantastic night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Icy, and thank you all of you who I don't see, but you were here and took the time and listen and be here. And I really hope that you liked it and you found it insightful.
Yeah. So thank you. And
thank you.
Really looking forward to future collaborations with you. Thank you. And
yes, thank you very much.
Yes, also best wishes to your research and work practice on ethical decision making, and looking forward to your more research on this.
Yeah, you know, I just did a research about ethical dilemmas, and it is closed now. So I will just try to do I will start to do the analysis, and we will see if you find this topic interesting, and it will be very. I mean, I should collect a lot of response. I'm very happy about it, and I would be happy to share either in this platform or in any other platform, because I want to make the results available to the public.
Yeah, thank you. Please do let us know when you publish the result.
Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the day. Bye bye.
Yeah, the same to you. Bye bye. Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, so
yes, yeah, thank you. 非常感谢我们。
We covered everything.
Yes.
Okay. And if you want to have an answer to the other questions, maybe, you know, if you send me, I can give, but I think it's, yeah. We will see. Thank you, Icy, very much. You were so helpful I mean, during this process, and I'm very, very grateful for your whole support. And yeah, and let's continue one time if you are interested in. Oh, yeah. I'm very interested in. We are not live anymore. Are we on live?
Yes. Yeah, that's the end. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, let's continue, and thank you. I hang it up now.
Yeah. Bye bye. Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye. Thank you.
我们非常感谢 Judit 女士刚才非常精彩的分享，以及非常让我们就是有更多思考的这个问答环节。好，我们在这里也做一下我们下期讲座的预告。下期讲座预告是在4月17号下周，然后晚上同一时间7点到8点。那下期直播预告我们的主题呢是 EMCC 10大能力评估框架。那这个我们的主讲人呢是EMCC 意大利的总裁以及 EMCC 意大利的董事，那他们将帮我们就是揭秘我们导师教练如何能够就是最大化的去利用这个能力评估框架。好，如果大家可以感兴趣的，可以点击就是右上角关注我们，然后可以预约本次的直播。好，以上就是今天晚上的全部分享，非常感谢大家的关注和参与，就是我们下期再见。